Hello guys, and welcome back to another episode of PCs and EVs. Right now, you join me on the inside of I believe it's a 2021 ID4. I'll be double checking on the website and everything. All right, and thank you very much to Eco Auto for letting us take a look at this 2021 Pro ID4 S. It is a rear-wheel drive model. This specific car has about 40,000 miles on it, which means it's actually lived a pretty useful life, all things considered. And so we actually already have shot all of the review and everything. I think personally that this vehicle would be a very, very strong contender to Ioniq 5 EV6 and even GV60. It's just a really, really, really good car, especially when you consider that the used prices on these are a lot lower than what new would be. I'm pretty sure that this same car new would be about $45,000 to $47,000. And so something along those lines. I mean, if you can get it for $35,000 like you are here, and sure, maybe it has a little bit of use on it, but it's still in extremely great cosmetic condition. It's just, they seem to be holding up quite well. Another deal on the used side that I'd say keep your eye out for, guys, would actually be the Mercedes EQS right now. So those started at about $105,000, and a lot of the one-year leases and stuff like that are expiring, and so they're coming back and they're sitting on lots at like $65,000. All right, gotta try and fix the climate from going crazy. Auto. Okay, let's go to reverse. You'll actually see there's a little light strip that is at the top, which is quite weird to see in person. We'll back on out of here. Man, this is a very low resolution camera. Other than that, I mean, the 360 sensors and everything, those are set up pretty nicely. But as far as the actual camera resolution goes, not great. So you guys are going to get to experience my initial driving impressions with the vehicle. I've taken it for a very brief spin just to actually get used to driving it a little bit. So hammering on it, there's 40, 50, and entirely too fast. If I go, so drive doesn't really have any regen or anything. It's just coasting. B mode has equivalent to like level 1, maybe level 2 regen, if we're talking EGMP levels, or a little bit heavier than what the standard Bolt or Bolty UV regen levels would be, but definitely lighter than the low setting on Tesla. And that's the heaviest setting that this vehicle has. Nothing wrong with that, just something I wanted to remark on. One of the tires is low. I'll have to mention that to them when I bring it back. And that right there, that Model Y that we just saw drive by, was someone had just purchased from Eco Auto, it looks like. Now, this is interesting. You can see a whole bunch of different things, including your efficiency, long term, and sense charge. Okay. There's so many screens. All right, let's look over here at the infotainment. So that's if I go into a custom drive mode, I want driving dynamics. Yeah, let's leave everything in sport. Assists, yeah, menu. Oh, it's the parking menu. Alright. Is this my home button? That is. Man, this is interesting. I do really like the brown accents here. We've got the brown on black interior. I still gotta figure out exactly which model this is, but we'll figure that out in just a minute or two. Man, there's a lot of traffic here. I will say, so I've got flat bottom shoes, and the rubber all-weather mats that are I think they're official ID4 ones. They're definitely a bit slick. Now you will notice, if you listen closely, that there's audio being played for when I accelerate and decelerate. It's always an interesting decision to see people who have an active audio design on their vehicles. We're gonna go this way just so I can try and get off of main roads, so I can get something into a little bit twistier, so I can enjoy the driving dynamics a little better. Steering feels perfectly reasonable. Driving conditions and everything. It is a bit slower. I believe this is a single motor variant. Alright, so this is an ID4 Pro S 2021. They've changed some infotainment things on the newer models. Unfortunately, I don't have one of those to test. Eco Auto is a local dealership to me in Tewksbury, Mass. that deals with used hybrid and electric vehicles, as well as plug-in hybrids. And we actually bought our blue Model Y that we went on a 1,000-mile road trip in from them. And we quite liked working with them, so I decided to reach out, see if they'd let me mess around with some vehicles, and they agreed. And I'm very, very, very thankful to them for that. Now, as far as driving dynamic of this goes, it seems perfectly reasonable. I do feel like I'm seated very low, which is going to be the case in a lot of electric vehicles, realistically speaking. I just want to get some navigation so I can see where I'm going, or just get the map up so I can see where I'm going and what I'm doing and all that. Heated seats only. This is a Pro S, like I said. It's a rear-wheel drive. Really low center console, but still very well designed. We'll take a look at that in just a minute. We're gonna head back to the dealership and we'll go over interior, exterior, as well as what they actually have this one listed for, and whether or not you guys should end up buying one of these over something like a Tesla, or maybe EGMP, or even a newer ID4. We'll take a look and see. Definitely a very compliant ride, though. Yes, you will have my phone and the wireless charger. You get 2 USB-C ports up front. I'll have to take a look and see what the rear gets. The driver's seat has this weird mixture of heads-up display slash dash screen. Not sure that I'm a huge fan of it. I do prefer a full-on screen as well as heads-up display. So this mixed thing is interesting. We'll move that up. I always like to drive with a higher steering wheel. That's also probably, no, this definitely sits at more like a sedan height, I feel. I'm gonna wait for the light. Now there is a giant glass roof. That's actually what you guys are attached to for filming. Wow, you can set it all the way down to 60. Good to see that there's dedicated climate buttons. I don't really think you're missing out on too much, especially with the way the software is set up. Yeah, this is pretty decent. You've got your light control over here on the side. The one big thing is from the front seat, you actually cannot control the rear windows with their own dedicated switches. You can either be controlling the rear windows or the front windows. You can't control all 4 at once. And that's because they don't have dedicated switches for the rear. You actually just hit a button and it selects rear instead of front. That has probably been by far the biggest gripe I've heard from ID4 owners, hilariously enough. But yeah, I mean, honestly, so I'm starting to see these pop up for around $35,000 used. That's what this model is. And for that price, doesn't seem like that bad of a package. You get a very comfortable leather seats. You've got a very beautiful brown leather interior. You've got memory seats on the driver's side, not on the passenger side, but you do have lumbar control, no massage, which is entirely reasonable for what you actually are paying for one of these things. The only thing I don't like is the gloss plastic trimming this, as well as up here, and it's down on the center console as well. But I mean, yeah, it's a very well driving vehicle. Comes with 2 years free Electrify America. It's 2 years of free Electrify America charging when purchased new. The 2023 at least briefly got a tax credit. But as it stands right now, for any used vehicles, anything under $25,000, if you're within the guidance limits, as always, I'm not a lawyer or a tax professional. If you're within the income limits set by the IRS, you are eligible for a up to $4,000 federal tax rebate on any used electric vehicles purchased. And now those used electric vehicles have to be at least, I believe it's 2 model years old, and they have to be under $25,000 final sale price. So keep that in mind. One other thing that I'll make sure that I have to record is when I put it on in park or drive or reverse, I want you to keep an eye right below the bottom of the windshield itself. You guys will actually end up seeing that light up. I don't know why they put a light there. It seems really unnecessary. But hey, I mean, do what you want, Volkswagen, I guess. B mode is actually relatively pleasant to be driving in, even in a bit more traffic like we are currently. It's not a true one-pedal drive solution though, which is unfortunate, because one-pedal drive solutions, even if it's just regen paddles, which was the first thing I reached for when I hopped in this thing, they're very nice. And I feel like it's just a miss that this doesn't have them. But yeah, in just a couple of minutes, we'll take a look at if there's a trunk space, and as well as rear seating room and the actual lower portions that you guys can't quite see from where you are currently. Now we're gonna have to switch to the built-in microphone, or actually a wireless microphone, here in just a moment. I'd like to know what you guys think about that. Just let me know what you guys, how it sounds and everything. Obviously I'm gonna have to make that decision myself as well while shooting, but it should end up coming out pretty well. We are just right off a busy road, and there's not much I can do about audio, unfortunately, with that in mind. So you guys can actually see, as I switch modes and everything, how that the light bar has light going on it. Such a weird touch. Now, as far as what I was talking about with the interior, you've got this nice set of cup holders here. You've got a lot of gloss plastic here with 2 more cup holders, and I don't know that this is necessarily cup holders. Interesting design there. You've got a wireless charger right here. You've got 2 front USB Type-C. These are the really slick mats if you happen to have these ones. You've got some storage space right in front of the center console. Again, you've got that really beautiful dash, and with the brown accents. You've even got here's where you can control the front, but not the rear at the same time. You have to use that button there. You can pop your trunk. Let's take a look under the hood real quick, and then we'll take a look at the back seat and then the trunk. Now, unfortunately, Volkswagen decided not to equip this with a front trunk. They definitely could have gotten away with one about the same size as what I have in my GV60 or the Ioniq 5. But if we take a look at the side profile of the vehicle, we'll shut the hood real quick. Taking a look at the side profile of the vehicle, it is definitely a very good looking car, especially in this white on black, always the Stormtrooper look. It's got your DC fast charging port right here on the passenger side. You do have a cover, and you've got the little shelf where you can rest the DC pin cover right there. We'll put that back in. Goes in only one direction. Not a powered DC charging flap, which is unnecessary to have. You do have a rear wiper, which is good. Now it is a powered frunk, and you do get a privacy shade on, I said frunk, I meant trunk. Okay, you get car blocks. You get more carpet all-weather mats. Pretty decent actual space here at the rear. You can lower the middle of the front seat, so if you need to put like wood in or anything like that, you can use it for that. Then taking a look under here, you've got a small false floor. What's under there? Oh, you got your roadside assistance kit. Okay, so not quite as much room as you would have on something like a Model Y, but, or maybe it's probably about the same as like Ioniq 5. It's definitely bigger than what you get on GV60 and EV6. And then of course you've got your power trunk. Let's let that shut. Now the door handles themselves aren't actual physical door handles. There's just a switch underneath that engages. And then here's the back seat. Let's take a look from the back here. So we put that up, and you've got your cup holders in the middle here. You've got a little ID badge down at the bottom there. Really flat floor, like we're used to with electric vehicles at this point. 2 USB-C ports for charging. And you get those brown accents actually carried throughout the car, which is great. And then the star of the show, you have this giant panoramic roof. This is way bigger than what you get in GV60, a little bit bigger than what you get in Ioniq 5, and definitely bigger than the opening sunroof that you get on the EV6. It lets in quite a lot of light. It's a lot less tinted than something like the Tesla Model Y would have, but it's still a very great feature to have to make it feel a lot more roomy inside. Now, seat-wise, even for the middle seat. Now, as far as sitting in the back seat goes, in the middle seat, you definitely do sit up another inch or two. I'm 5'7", and my hair is starting to touch the ceiling. But on either of the 2 side seats, I still have a couple of inches of room. You do have small seat back pockets for both rear seats. And yeah, I mean, it's a very comfortable car, no matter if I'm in the front or the rear seats. No heated rear seats in this model, though. Now let's talk range for this vehicle. So we'll start actually by prefacing it with charging rate. This vehicle charges at up to about 140 kilowatt at a level 3 DC fast charger, though newer 2023 models can go up to about 175 kilowatt. And this vehicle is estimated to have about 250 miles on the EPA testing cycle. Yeah, I really like it. For about $35,000, you probably could get yourself a used Ioniq 5 or EV6 as well. But this is still a very good choice in this market. And thank you again to Eco Auto for letting us take a look at this Volkswagen ID.4. It was actually quite a pleasure to drive. And yeah, I mean, if I didn't have the GV60, I'd definitely take a look into getting one of these. Amongst all the other options, obviously. It's not the only car you'd recommend getting. But keeping in mind that new Model Ys are, for long range, are around $43,000 after the tax credit, this is a really good option. And obviously not everyone qualifies for the tax credit, so $35,000 for a lightly used ID.4, not a bad deal.